Well, my dear Bulas, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is I, Krown, and this is a very important day as it's actually incredibly early right now, and it might even be the earliest day that I've ever recorded a video ever in my life. But there's plenty to talk about as Bitcoin did hit the short, medium, and you might even say long-term targets at that upper $13,000 region. Now what? As Bitcoin does essentially open the morning a little bit down. So with that in mind, let's put the focus over here on the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. And what do we see? We do see that open interest. Very much of interest right here, adding another 150 million to position size as Bitcoin does travel up another, I think, 500 to 600 bucks since we last spoke yesterday. As well, we do see Bitcoin dominance also popping up another percent as well, full percent actually in just one day. Again, carrying on the tradition that as Bitcoin does kind of rally up here, or not kind of rally up here, as Bitcoin roars up here, altcoins very unlikely to be able to keep touch with Bitcoin. If they can't keep up with Bitcoin, then very likely, or as you can see right here over the past 3-4 weeks, the ratio will go down, of course, or actually in this case up because it is the Bitcoin dominance ratio, but I'm talking about the ratio between altcoin pairing and Satoshi pairing. Yes, those have been an absolute nosedive for the most part. Of course, there's going to be a few outliers here and there, but at the end of the day, when Bitcoin really does start get going, the problem is for altcoins, they have a very difficult time catching up versus US dollar valuation. So the Satoshi pairing will go down, but the US dollar pairing may go sideways or slightly up. So if you're wondering what that noise is outside, it's the wind, except I have the door open right now. It's too fucking hot in here. I don't know how it is. It's like literally 0 degrees Celsius, but somehow, because I think we're on the top floor of this building, it just, the hot air rises. The hot air rises, apparently. Anyways, fear and greed index also popping up about 9 points from 61 to a 70, of which we should go check out the data tab and see if there's any parrots barking their faces off and letting us know of any potential issues going on right now. And what do we see? We do see that futures still maintaining their premium over spot price action, which is rather interesting. Seems we only got 2 to 3 days more left of the trading month. And I actually got a few questions about this the other day, kind of more like theory and fundamental questions. People asking why does CME futures not have a greater premium over spot price action right now? Well, the reason is because we are only about 3 days away from the end of the month, and while the month does come to a closure, naturally speaking, the price of futures is going to come into parity. And in this case right here, with only 3, or I guess it would be 4 days until expiration. Well, actually, technically, it's only 3 days until expiration because Friday is going to be the last trading day for CMEs. You can imagine that is going to rapidly dissipate, and obviously, at the end of the day, your futures contracts at expiration are only ever going to be worth parity anyways. So with that in mind, or their true value is only worth parity anyway. So looking at the global funding rate, we actually see some very, very bizarre things going on right here. First and foremost, I still notice that no exchange is really taking a leg out from that 0.1% region, which is really, it's actually kind of suggesting that perhaps this run continues from here. OKX and Huobi even posting negative rates, negative 0.04%. I mean, it's not anything too crazy, but to put in perspective, you are getting paid to hold long positions there right now, as you are on OKX as well, negative 0.02. All right, I gotta close this. Should I close this or should I not close this? No, I'm gonna leave it open for now. It's too hot, man. Anyways, I absolutely hate sweating. Anyways, what else do we have to make out of this? Not much. I think it's time to go into the actual price action charts themselves and follow up from yesterday's short-term analysis, of which, yes, we were looking for a move all the way up to the blue box territory, anywhere between about 13,650 to 13,750-ish region, and comes within this area. Or am I on the right chart? Yeah, I am on the right chart. Okay, nice one. No, but this should be flipped right here. Oh, well, fair enough. It's the same thing anyways. Which Bitcoin did not only test but also exceeded. So now that we're kind of within this region, I do think that it is time for caution, as Bitcoin has had a pretty phenomenal run thus far. And while I'm not necessarily saying that the macro run is done, I do think that it's getting towards the time to have a little bit of cautions here. Now, with that said, the lower term time frames actually do look like they want to have another swipe onto the upside and probably try, maybe even to 14,000, maybe even a little bit above 14,000. Oh, fuck, and I forgot again. Jesus Christ, man. By the way, I'm getting a lot of messages about this, and I want to follow up again because I see this every day for people wanting to join the Discord. Yes, it's 100% free. It's 100% available to anyone. All you have to do is just click the link in the description below for Discord, and then there's one other thing that you have to do differently. You will once you join the server, once you're in the actual server, you're going to be prompted with a private message from a bot called Altdentifier. You'll have to go through the link that it sends you and verify yourself. It's basically not a bot and not like some sort of person who's going to spam the chats and shit like that. And then you're more than welcome to join on into the general Discord section. Also, I should also announce, Jesus Christ, man, yeah, this one's pretty diabolical. So somehow someone has been able to actually impersonate my name on Discord, even with like the hashtag after it. Now, obviously, there's other ways to confirm that it's not me, because like if you go and message me, well, first off, you probably can't, because unless we're friends, we can't message. And then second off, I'm never going to message anyone anyways, and I'm certainly not going to ask you for like money or whatever the fuck that they're asking for. It's kind of unclear, but a little bit confusing, because it actually somehow this person has actually hacked Discord or whatever the fuck he's done, or she's done, who knows. And they've got not only my name, but also the number right after it, 89, I think 80 it is, hashtag 8980. And like I said, in order to confirm, first off, I'm never gonna fucking message anyone pretty much ever. I have a difficult time keeping up with my own stuff as it is. And then more importantly, what you can do if you're like really, if it's like really a big thing, is look down the member list. You'll see my name, and it'll actually have first off, it'll be in purple, and it'll be the only one in purple. And then also, if you click on my name, there's going to be a role that is a purple crown, and that's also how you'll know, because he can't. I don't believe that there's any way for him to actually do that. So at least we got that. I'm messaging Discord to try to figure out what the hell we can do about it, but they're pretty unhelpful. So fair enough. Anyways, yeah, back on the Bitcoin over here, short-term timeframes. So like we said yesterday, while Bitcoin was very likely to get within this region, fulfilling that measure move out of the small base from the upper $12,000 region, and also hitting the 1.414 fib right here, this is kind of no man's land in my opinion, as Bitcoin, yes, it's probably gonna have a little bit more fireworks, and I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do officially test the prior high that we saw in June 2019 right here, which would be at a price point of about, let's zero in on this one right here. This one would actually be literally smack dab at about 14,000 bucks. Anywhere between about 14,000 and about 14,200 bucks is where I'm kind of looking for on any sort of like violent wiki type price action. And then I do think that Bitcoin's going to spend some time going sideways, and then probably a little bit of down. Long term, like I said, macro, still looks fine. Probably does get more tries onwards and upwards, but you know how it is with Bitcoin playing out some big, massive moves to the upside, of which we've, certainly seen our fair share of that over the last few weeks. We see this move all the way from about $10,000 base to where we are right now, almost $4,000 higher. It's kind of a big deal, if we're just looking at percentages here. That's well into the 30%. Yes, indeed it is, 32, 30-ish region. So I would be looking for probably a greater pullback based upon that, probably coming into the month of November. So with that in mind, I need to be very careful here, because in the short term, yes, you're probably going to see Bitcoin try again to the upside, and you're probably going to see like some very, very violent price action over here. It's probably going to be very enticing as well. But for the long term, I do think that it would be more healthy and more in line with Bitcoin's behavior to probably grind out, the lower $14,000 region, and then come back down, play out some sideways for, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, as it typically does, and then give another go to the upside. So as it is right now on the 4 hour, do we see anything suggesting that we're going to see another drive to the upside? We do see 4 hour Stokes still very much erect right there. Now, when we get into the critical zone like this, there's not really a scientific way of doing it, except for kind of looking for last prior highs and realizing that when you're in the critical zone, it's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. It's just letting you know that it's going to be much more difficult to kind of keep up this current momentum. Looking at 4 hour RSI, what do we see? We see kind of the same thing as well. Bearish divergence likely will be forming on this next run. Any sort of a read that is lower than the 88.5 region right here will produce it. But first things first, has to put in a local high. And do we have a local high in right now? No, we don't. Actually, not even close. So fair enough. It would still imply that we probably get some new highs on top of that. Looking at the 3 hour, what do we see? Building and stair stepping up. This again makes me think that we're going to see another high on this run first, and then probably come back maybe in a week or two and play out some sideways and down. But yeah, looking at 3 hour momentum oscillators, we do see it still nice and erect to the upside as well. Although, again, difficult to kind of keep it up right there. Also, what's kind of making me think that this run is nearing a short-term completion is the fact that our lower-term time frame historical volatility percentiles are getting incredibly hot right here. So yes, can there be one more blow-off move? Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's kind of what I'm looking for right now, as this market does get a little bit more irrational and exuberant. But I would look for this, and probably the 4 hours showing the same thing as well. Yeah, to go into a greater contraction phase kind of after this next move plays out. Looking at the bi-hourly, what do we see? Same sort of thing right here. This one actually still in the process of expanding. So that's why I do think that Bitcoin does have another swipe on to the upside here. and does create another high on this run, and we do see two-hour Stokes looking like they want to curl down. So, again, a little bit of caution right there, but of course I want to see them all moving in the same direction, and I'd imagine that the hourly is already precipitating all of these reads. But before that, I want to check out 2-hour RSI. Same thing here. Bearish divergence will be created at some point in time, as long as we're below the 88 marker. But again, that would imply that we're going to get new highs first, and it can spend some time within that region. Hourly, I expect that we're going to see more of the same, and yes, indeed we do. We see hourly Stokes having a fresh cross, or trying to have a fresh cross to the downside in the critical zone after plenty of snakes around. And hourly RSI, what do we see here? Hourly RSI looks, it actually just initiated some hidden bullish divergence here on that run from what was this, 13,650 all the way to 13,850. That is not what you should be getting on an hourly, by the way. $200 move on an hourly is like, that's something else. That's something else. So that does make me again think that we are going to see a little bit higher here, and then play out some sideways and down. Hourly historical volatility percentile, yep, precipitating the other ones. So we pretty much get the same reads on all of them. They all are coming off of some pretty hot reads, but there's still, I do think, a little bit of a likely chance that we will see another try higher into the officially the lower $14,000 region, and then coming into probably November, things start to get boring once again, or at least for a little bit of time. Okay, so now that we're through the lower term time frames, let's go back on and check out the medium term time frames. Now we got 12-hour right here, looking nice and powerful as it is. If the 12-hour closes anything like this, anywhere above, let's see, where's my horizontals on right now? Yeah, anywhere above about 13,750. Yes, I'm looking for the next drive to about 14,000 bucks. Looking at momentum oscillators, again, we're seeing like pretty much every time frame align, but as it is right now, 12-hour Stokes just having a fresh cross to the upside in the critical zone. And as you can see, this area has caught several taps in the past. Yes, it can get a little bit higher, as we've seen in more crazy price action during April, during February. This was on the high of 10,500, by the way, and January of this year. So this area right here, and I imagine that we're going to get a similar one relatively soon. But again, that would imply that we get some new highs first. Looking at 12-hour RSI, same sort of issues. I mean, long-term constructive, short-term going to be building some bearish divergence. So I do think that it starts to cool off a little bit. And checking out the daily, what do we see right here? We do see essentially more or less the same as far as momentum oscillators go, having another fresh cross onto the upside. But like we said before, somewhere around this region in like the 92 and a half region, typically do find a little bit of at the very least a pullback. We'll put it that way. Daily RSI, no bearish divergence just yet. Needs to confirm a local high, but any sort of a local high confirming an RSI high less than 86, and yes, we will play out some bearish divergence there as well. But same issue once again. It still would imply some new highs on this run, so fair enough. And by the way, daily historical volatility percentile is still expanding here. So while the lower term time frames are all kind of going to go into a contraction phase, the daily, the long term, the macro is expanding quite aggressively here too. So can things like really blow off after the next sort of base is being built? Yes, but I think I'll save that for the TA nerd session, because this is way too early right now. Too many spoon boys around. Whoops, hey, get the fuck out of my face. Sorry about that. What about 2-day? Did we close anything there? No, we haven't closed anything like that. 2-day still looks like continuation, so at least another couple days. 3-day, same thing as well. It's continuation here, still looking good. So now, in order to get the next levels, if we are going to be going off of a level still, what I'd have to do is I'd have to go back in the annals of history here, in the annals of history, I think is the proper word, and let's see exactly where the important pivots are. So we're going to have to go back to the only time that Bitcoin spent any time above this region, which was very not significant to begin with, less than a month actually, from the time above about 14,000 to the time that it cracked 14,000, and never went above ever since. And we can start to map them out right now. So I'm gonna put my drawing tools on. It looks like I already, I guess I think I went through this last night and I already did this area right here, but this one's gonna be a big one. This one's gonna be a very big one right here. This 14,250 to 14,450. It's a $200 range, but we are talking about, historical pieces of price action here. So I will bring it all the way over. I wanna make sure that I actually got this right. I guess I don't necessarily need to do, okay, this is not very efficient. Let's just do it this way. That's why I drew them in the first first place? Jesus Christ, Krown, can you get your drawings right? Probably not. But yeah, something like this would be about right. So that's the macro area, so to speak, right now. After that, and by the way, again, that is 14,450 to the upside. What are the next areas of interest? Well, this is getting more and more. I don't even really trust this all that much at this point, because it's just history has just not spent all enough time there. But I'd mark off this point right around 15,200. I'd mark off this point right around 16,000 and some odd change, and then I'd definitely mark off this one's the most obvious one right here, 17,200. Last little prior high, make a nice little liquid zone with the wicks right there, nice one. And then of course we got big bad breakdown, 19,000 bucks right here. So there you go. Now I'm not necessarily, I don't think that these are relevant, today, tomorrow, the next day, but over the course of the next, half year to a year, yes, those are areas that I want to be knowing about. So as it is right now, what I want to do once again is actually want to take another fib retracement right here to get some more extension targets, mostly because I'm basically running out of things to kind of generate targets for this. So let's see what this one populates. It is going to show those $14,000 targets right there that we spoke about earlier. It's going to be something a little more like this. There we go. And that's going to show the two spot right around the next horizontal. So I do like the confluence right there. In fact, I'm going to make a nice little boxy box territory, 13,920 and 13,975. So short term would be looking at this as a short term pivot. Above there, basically 14,000, we'll call it. That's when I do start to look towards basically 14,250-ish region. That's going to be the 2 spot 618 right here extension, which typically does get some love. These are just bots and algo targets right here, nothing more than that. So while I would be looking for short-term pullbacks based off of pretty much all of these, does this encompass like the higher term timeframes? No, but that's why we went back in history to look at that $14,000 region, of which it actually does line up with the 2 spot 618, which is rather interesting. So above there, yes, I could get super uber fucking goddamn bullish again. It's like a who, but for right now, I think it'd be relevant for me to say that I'd be quite surprised if we actually do close the monthly above, especially the 2.618 above 14,000. Could be, could be, and that actually would be the highest all-time closing on a monthly ever that Bitcoin's ever had. So as we do prepare for the end of the month, I do want to remind myself that the chart currently looks like this. We are literally at the all-time prior high, essentially from a closing basis. As this was 13,880, we are currently trading 13,750, and the high of today is pretty much what that closure was. So fair enough. Long term, any sort of a monthly closure above this level right here, and that's at the point where I not just look for a retest of 20,000, but I look for new all-time highs. And I'll say it straight up right now. I think we're kind of close to the TA nerd session anyways. Yeah, we are. So, yes, and it already kind of looks like that anyways, to be fair. I mean, you've kind of been seeing, if you've been in the TA nerd session, you kind of see me try to dance around my words in the early spoon boy portion of these videos. And then when it gets to TA nerd session time, it's like, okay, well, I want to be balanced. I want to be looking at a bunch of different things, but this is good. This is pretty good. Momentum oscillators checking in, still erect as fuck. Monthly RSI, very fucking good. I mean, this makes me think that this run can really go for a long time on the monthly. So fair enough. Again, doesn't mean that you're going to be without your ebbs and flows and your downs. I'm even talking about one, coming probably relatively soon and probably even coming back down to test all the way down to like low 12,000 bucks. But that's going to be a major opportunity in my opinion as well. So with all of that in mind, I do think it's a little bit more of a cautionary time right now, but long term, yes, things are more or less good. And we're also going to be closing a bi-monthly as well. And I think this is probably the most easy chart to read of all time. It's just an uptrend. It's just an uptrend. It doesn't stop going up. It's pretty much the antithesis of most altcoin charts that you do see within this market. So Bitcoin kind of being a cut above the rest and looking very, very interesting here on the long term. So again, macro, very good. Short term, probably a little more upside. However, kind of medium term, I'm more or less cautious within this region, whether it's like 13,800, our current high right now, or whether we go up to like 14,200. that is irrelevant to me. I do think that Bitcoin plays a greater pullback from somewhere in that region, of which we just kind of swiped into it right now, and it's going to take some time as well. You know how it is, especially going back to not even that long ago, going back to this one right here. Swipes up to this area, goes into a long form consolidation, but there are rallies and there are dumps the whole way through it. So there's a lot of opportunity. It's $1,000 range there, and this was almost a different lifetime in Bitcoin now, as it was below $10,000, and same thing back on over here in 2019 on the highs, as Bitcoin put about 3 months in of sideways in a range before actually breaking the range. And I'm losing my damn voice once again, and I don't see my water nowhere around here. Fuck, I'm stuck. All right, fair enough. Let's go over here to the secondary chart, see what they're saying right now. Daily kind of selling off on the top Krown band. I don't have a strong opinion on this right now. Like I said, this is the time to be looking for violence in the charts. I'm looking for some fucking Antifa violence over here. And if we do close a daily dildo above the top side Krown band, which is currently at 13,900, by the way, for reference, yes, that's going to be a damn good signal. You're going to see 14,200 tested. I don't really see anything else on the lower term timeframes that makes me like very confident in using levels right now. I don't think it's relevant right now. Everything's going to be a little bit too violent. But for this area right here, yes, I do put some weight on this. So a daily closure above 13,900 basically, and I'm looking for another $300 extension to 14,200-ish region, at which point I would be looking for the next short-term high. If we do close below 13,900 though, does that mean that the run is over immediately? No. No, it doesn't. It just means that probably trading a little bit of sideways within a range short term. Anyways, let's go over to the 12 arm. Here's what this one says as well. Topside Krown band showing around that 14,100-ish region, which was relevant for the short term time frames as well. 4 hours still in the process of trending, and of course we go over here to the weekly. It's similar as well. So long term, again, I have to reflect upon this. This is good as long as we're closing weekly dildos above the topside Krown band. I mean, that's your long-term rallies in Bitcoin. Not going to get it all perfectly, but for reference over here, we do see this run, and as long as Bitcoin's closing a weekly dildo above the topside Krown band, the run is in progress, going all the way from about 5,000. This one giving you a bit of a consolidation right here after a 69% move to the upside, by the way, and then you get another closure above, and that gives you the next, going from closure to next high, almost 42% move. We see several examples in the year of 2015 going to 2018 right here. And let's see this first one right here, getting a nice 34% move to the upside before going into about what is this, like a 2-month-long consolidation sideways. Same thing right here, another 48.5% move, so it's actually getting a little more aggressive perhaps. And then another couple months sideways, and then another Krown band move to the upside. Again, this one about almost 50%, and then back down. And then same thing right here, this one a little bit more muted actually, almost 26% on this one. And then this one's going to be a fucking monster, it looks like already. 110%, Jesus fucking Christ. And then a couple months of sideways and down, and this is sideways and down, but 37% down, by the way. And then we got this next one right here, going from closure outside to next high, 38.25%. Then we got this next one right here, getting this move, another 41%. And I mean, they don't look like that much when it's on log scale, but it is quite a fair bit. And then the ultimate blow off top, 150% from that signal given. So, looking at our current trajectory right here, have we already played out about a 30% move from this first closure above? Actually, no, which is, oh, fuck. Are you fucking kidding me? What? 30% from that last, oh my God. Okay, this is actually a little bit insane. Not even 20%. It's 28%. That would actually be akin to your last $16,000 bull trap high. Am I not being bullish enough? This is some Bitcoin bullshit going on right now, man. I mean, this is the magic of Bitcoin, why we love it. There's so much opportunity, I guess, but this is a little bit somber in here. I guess I'd want to see the weekly closure as long as we're closing above the top side Krown band. Yeah. there's more room to the upside, I guess. What do we see on weekly MACD? Just having a fresh cross the upside as well. By the way, as it closes above the top side trailing band, so momentum increasing as it breaks. And on top of that, we see weekly DMI plus, obviously very dominant, has been dominant for a while, but the ADX strengthening alongside of it for the last few weeks. And, we've seen similar reads to this going into your March 2019 run, which was this guy right here, going into this whole run right here from about $600 to 20,000. This run right here from about 250 to when does the signal stop? At about $500, so 2x. I feel disingenuous even talking about this right now. Let's just put this chart away. All right, let's go. I need something fucking bearish, man. This is some bullshit. this is some bullshit, man. Here we go. Okay, I got something. I know what I can find. Okay, so we spoke about this earlier this week. Remember that on spot price action, we actually did get a jewel sell signal on the 4-hour over the weekend, and I said specifically this is very unlikely the one to be looking for, because what you want to see is you want to see it on the week. Is first off, you want to see it on the weekdays, and second off, you want to see it on CMEs. CMEs did not show the same signal, but it is going to start to line up once again. However, I would also say that with the way that all of these are kind of approaching each other, this one's also unlikely to work out as like a really good one. But it can produce a short-term top, but it will. This is not the signal that will produce a long-term top, at least in my experience. What you're probably going to see is a short-term top being based upon this on the next tick somewhere around here, and then it'll come back around and maybe take one or two more times and then line up for a perfect signal. So, do we have a lot more upside here? Is a real question. I don't want to answer that question, actually. You know what? I think I'll just I'm bullish until I'm not, I guess. It's very enlightening, Krown. Yes, that's literally how I feel. What about on CMEs? Do we see anything of interest right here? DMI still strengthening. Oh my God. That's on the daily, by the way. What about a 4-hour? Still trending above the top side trailing band. Kind of hard to hate this as well. In ADX is actually strengthening alongside DMI plus being dominant. MACD having a fresh cross the upside as we, oh my God, it's like the weekly on a 4-hour right here. Yeah, okay, so I guess I'll say it then. I would be looking for Bitcoin to likely make a test into the lower $14,000 region, at which point I'd probably be looking for a pullback. But we're starting to get into areas where, things just get crazy. Things get a little bit crazy here. So areas of interest to the upside, 13,950, which is basically 14,000. Then we got 14,250. That's the big one right here in a range between that price and the top side of the range. Our last prior highs from the wick highs from the last major breakdowns in 2018 at about 14,450. And actually, this is, it's kind of around there anyways. All right, actually, no, sorry. It's 14,300 to 14,400. So it's only a $100 range. Fair enough. And I am short-term bullish as long as Bitcoin is closing 4-hour dildos above 13,650. If Bitcoin does, and I probably should have talked about this a lot earlier, if Bitcoin does close a 4-hour dildo below 13,650, I would be looking for this one to come back down to this base somewhere in the low $13,000 region, probably around about 13,200-ish. And I'll make a nice little liquid zone right there too, because I think it may be relevant just in case we get one of those quick fake outs. $50 range between 13,150 and 13,200. Also the 786 fib right here as well. So that's what I'd be looking for if Bitcoin does break back down below 13,650 on a 4-hour dildo closure. Could we use a 2-hour as well? 2-hour dildo closure below 13,550, so $100 lower than that. And yes, I'd be looking for that move. What about a 3-hour? Yeah, same thing. All right, so fair enough. So again, kind of wrapping this thing up. Or I guess, what we should do is we should go look at traditional markets, because we actually did see that one fall through as well. NASDAQ over here hit our short-term target to the upside, which was the 21 exponential moving average right here. Now I'd actually be looking for it to come back down, as we spoke about yesterday, probably back down to the 55 at about 11.4. And I imagine that SPY is going to be the more obvious chart once again. And yes, indeed it is. We did look at SPY, pop back up to the 21. We got that. Then we said pull back from there. I didn't give a target for the pullback, but back down to about 33.50 was good enough. Is good enough for me. Would I be looking for a bounce off this region or further continuation to the downside? I'd probably be looking for I actually probably would be looking for another swipe to the downside, like 3350-ish region, but I would be looking for a bounce after that. Anywhere around the 942 is going to be fine, and that's actually 3325. Also, the Cyan 89 exponential moving average kind of within that region as well. So 3350 to 3325, and then bouncy bounce time. I do think that the downside is not as significant now, but anywhere, yeah, and this should be around the 21 here as well. So, you know, I do think that we're getting closer to a bouncy bounce area, but a little bit more down first and then bouncy bounce time. Same thing for NASDAQ right here. What about our top three? What about Tesla? Tesla short term, popping back up. Yeah, remember this yesterday. If I was just looking at Tesla, I'd actually be looking for it to come down, but Microsoft was kind of telling the story. I didn't actually get as high as what I believe I was looking for. I believe I was looking for 216 or 217. Didn't quite get there. Very interesting. What about Apple? Yeah, Apple popping back up as well. I'd be looking for all these guys to put in some short-term rallies back up today. 119 for Apple. Tesla kind of already got that move. Tesla just looks fucking weird. I don't like looking at Tesla. It's weird. And Microsoft, same thing as Apple, I think. What are we looking? What do we want to see on Mr. Beaterall? We see it slowly grinding its way sideways and up. I'd be looking for this one to pop back up towards about 420 over the next few days. Actually, I do think that Beaterall is going to start to follow Bitcoin, but later. So short term, short term. I'm on a weekly and I'm talking about short term. Yeah, short term probably does pop back up towards about 420-ish region, and then I want to see the weekly close to judge further continuation targets. What about is there anything else that we want? Yeah, let's go look at Link. Why not Link? How you doing, Mr. Link? Good to see you, Link. Same thing. I'd be looking for this one to pop back up to about 1280. Short term, flagging out sideways. I don't know about flagging out sideways, but it's consolidating sideways. Sideways and up is what I'd be looking for on this one. So fair enough. Yeah. Anyways, going back to Bitcoin over here, like you've kind of seen me today. These are the times where it's a good time to be cautious. Yes. If they're more short-term upside, likely yes. Areas of interest 13,950 and then 14,200-ish region will as we looked at earlier. I do think that we're going to put in a medium-term top at one of those regions, and you're going to see it go sideways for a little bit of time, and it's going to be violent. You're going to see some spikes onto the upside. You're going to see some spikes onto the downside, but very likely it just sets up for a very, very healthy and continuation imposing close on our higher time frames like the monthly and bi-monthly. So with that in mind, again, short-term upside here, yes, but I do feel like a lot of things are getting pretty damn cooked. So it is time to be a little bit more cautious. And with that said, I'd like to wish you the best of the best. I'd like to wish you the happiest of the happiest. Take care, and until next time.